like you said, when I started this thing, I was like, I refuse to do Zoom. I'm doing everything in person. Like, if I can get a good guest to commit, I'm just going to do it. But it's just like, man, I don't want to keep passing up good conversations that I could be having rapid fire almost every day because I'm like, oh, I want to wait and do that in person. So, I mean, hopefully.
And that was funny.
Go ahead.
That was funny you messaged me that, because I've been the same way, and I haven't had many guests, and I have a lot of people lined up that have wanted me on their podcast and want to be on my podcast. And it was weird that you messaged me that, because literally like a couple of days before that, I made that decision. I said, fuck it, I'm just going to start doing Zoom. It's not realistic. And then you said that, I'm like, I just went through the same exact thing with myself. So it's just kind of cool. I mean, obviously, thought process is the same. Like I said, our values align, so it makes sense, right? So how long you been doing it? How long you been doing the podcast?
So I started this one. It's kind of gone through a couple evolutions. I started with a co-host. We started it. It was called the Man Card Podcast. Ran into some trademark issues that turned out there was another Man Card podcast that like wasn't active, but they still made us think about it. A whole bunch of shit there. And then my co-host had some other business endeavors he needed to focus on, and so he had to step away, and then it became the Mind of Man podcast. So a couple iterations, but I think we started this sucker originally back in like November of last year. So it hasn't been that long.
Okay.
It really started because I was on his podcast to talk about masculinity in the modern era, and everything going on with that, from the perspective of a father, a business owner, a man today, and everything you deal with. And it went well. So we were like, man, we should just start a podcast where we talk about this stuff with guys who sort of represent, what we see as being, your traditional protector, provider, successful business people, et cetera. Because is this need for that from like young dudes who are reaching out to me who are like, man, I'm being told at school that I shouldn't be this way, even though this is the way I feel like I should be. I'm competitive. I want to be like an alpha. And so that's how it started. And then it's just kind of evolved from there. And now, honestly, man, I just talk to interesting people who are achieving things. And
fuck yeah. I really vibe with, like I said, I really love following you, man. I love what you stand for. I love everything you post, man. Really good vibes. And like I said, I appreciate what you put out there and just speaking your mind. It's you know what I mean? Especially in this last year and a half. I mean, obviously it's just fucking, we were all dealt with it, right? So it's just, I appreciate it. What do you do for work?
Great question. So real quick, before we jump into everything, let me do a quick intro because we kind of
whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do, man.
So welcome back to the Mind of Man podcast, everybody. I'm joined here with Brian Nabavi. We are friends through social media, and I'm looking forward to talking to Brian. He's entrepreneur, dad, husband, kicking ass at life, got a couple companies, active on social media. We got a lot in common, and so I'm really stoked for this. But so you were just asking what I do. That's a good question, man.
Other than just being fucking swole and having an amazing beard, what else do you do?
Yeah, so I owned a company that I sold at the end of 2018. I owned a chain of bars and restaurants. I grew that to a certain size, exited that.
Nice.
I worked in a corporate gig at the same time. In recruiting, technical recruiting, did that for almost a decade, left that last year. And so now I'm focused really on, so I work with First Form. I recruit for them. So I interview potential Legionnaires for their Legionnaire program part-time. I've been involved with them as a company for several years. And I know obviously have strong ties with Andy and everything.
For sure. Yeah.
So I work as a nutrition coach, and I do this podcast. And
how old are you? You just had a birthday, right? How old are you?
I'm 33, or just turned 34. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Honestly, man,
that's
right
awesome.
Now I'm kind of doing stuff that makes me happy, stuff that I enjoy. I'm working on writing a book because that's something I always want.
That's amazing. Hell yeah. It's a good place to be, man. Respect to you. That's awesome.
Yeah, no,
and you're young too. You're young. I mean, I just turned, my birthday was the other day too, like the day after yours. I just turned 39, so we're both pretty young, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm kind of looking for that next thing, to be honest, man. With my bar business, and I've talked about this a lot in the podcast and in different places, but I was just chasing a dollar. I wasn't truly chasing like what fulfilled me, it was great.
Yeah.
It was an awesome business. My employees were like family. We grew it to 100 employees right before we sold. But I didn't achieve that level of fulfillment that I want in this next endeavor. And so that's why I'm focused on, just being unapologetically myself, whether that's political or, anything. Like, I'm never going to hold back. I'm honest about my opinions. And it's got me in hot water, but,
Of course. I mean, that's what happens when you're like that, right? People don't like that.
Yeah.
Right? That's awesome, man. Well, good shit, man. Your training is going good? You healthy? How's 75 hard going?
Yeah, it's good. I just train for fun now. I used to be all into trying to get on stage and stuff, but it's good. I tore my bicep last year. That's finally recovered. I know you went through some injury recovery.
Yeah, my chest. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. So, it's fun.
Yeah,
I'm a dad.
It's funny too. It's funny when you go ahead, man. I'll start fucking talking, man. But yeah, it's funny like when you meet like-minded people, how like we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, dude. I mean, the goals now are just to be like
for sure
boyfriends one day.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. Yeah, that's the thing is 39. I went through that major injury. For now, it's like I just want to maintain. I'm happy with my size and everything I got going on. I'm not going to be a pro. I realize I'm not going to be a pro anymore. That was the dream when I was young, right?
Yeah.
And now it's just like I just want to be, definitely represent for dads and look healthy and big and strong. And I do miss lifting heavy. I used to lift really heavy, but this shit really affects me. I still feel it. Everything I do, it's kind of in the back of my head. So I just don't want to tear it again.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, my perspective is, look, if I can be a dad, an entrepreneur, all these other things, but also look like a guy who still works out, I'm happy.
Yeah. Right. And that's what I say. And that's part of, like, I don't know what you want to talk about on this, what direction you want to go with this, but that's like what I tell people. Like, I have 4 kids, multiple companies, 39 years old, and I still think I look pretty good. I look okay, you know what I mean? And like, they don't realize, like, these guys that are 22, 23, and their whole life is the gym, like it was when we were that age. I mean, that was my life back then too. It's different though. Like, you talk to me in 10 years after you have kids and real responsibility and shit like that, it's not the same, right?
Absolutely. And dude, honestly, man, like, I truly feel like I'm in just as good, if not better, shape and happy with my training and physique and everything as I was then, because you change and your goals change. So yeah, absolutely. As far as where I want to go with this, man, like, so I want to talk about your background. Obviously, big fan of your content and what you're doing. And so I know you own Til You Collapse and the CBD venture as well. So I want to talk about both of those, but I want to kind of, get your overall philosophy and take on life, on being a man today. I mean, you're obviously, a devoted father and husband and business owner. And I think that we need more positive messages from guys like that, especially, we got some young dudes listening and anything we can do to let them know. So first off,
I mean, you want?
Go ahead.
What are you saying?
This is why I hate Zoom, man. If we were sitting here in person,
I know it's just delayed. I see your lips through, and I hear you.
So first off, you've owned Til You Collapse for how long has it been now?
So 8 years. 8 years I've owned that company. That's my main company. Fitness is my passion. Like you said, I was a fat kid, 13 years old, read the Arnold Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding, 800 pages, back, front to back, read that, started working out, wanted to be a pro, wanted to look like bodybuilders, and kind of taught myself how to work out. And then turned to kind of like a fat, chubby kid through high school, through my junior year, kind of started looking like a bodybuilder. Just like I said, no training. And back then, obviously I'm 39, so there's none of the social media, nothing online. It's just more old school shit. And like I said, just self-taught. That's kind of like my my mantra with everything when I first started the company and everything like that. But fitness was my passion. I got into training people for, 8 to 10 years. I've always been a salesman at heart. Like, I'm really good at sales. I'm fucking half Persian. So you know how we are. We're trying to fucking negotiate and barter everything. So negotiating and hustle and sales is in my blood. It's just built in there. So I was breaking records. Like, I would sell 30 grand in training by myself, at 18 years old, $30,000 in a month in personal training. So I was selling huge packages and getting people results. My clients would lose over 100 pounds, and just seeing people change their lives was really fulfilling, because I know I changed my life through fitness, and I know, that's what really drove me. And then I had a short stint where, like you said, you're following your passion. You want a meaning behind it before you were chasing the money. Yeah. I made the mistake at about 25 years old. At that point, I had my first child. So very young. Me and my wife have been together 17 years. Wow. So 17 years, which I feel like in this day and age is kind of not normal, right? Mm-hmm. And then so we were together, had my first child at 25 years old. And then I decided to, obviously, I've always had an ambition. Cars have been a main motivator of me. Like, I love cars, they're my thing. So I wanted, like, how do I get those kind of cars, like Lambos, Ferraris, that kind of stuff, right? Like, being a personal trainer, I don't think this is going to do it, right? So at that time, the mortgage business was booming. So I kind of did what you're talking about. I went to chase the money. My passion is fitness. I left my passion for the money. Went to chase the money. Like I said, went to that. Like I said, I'm really good at sales, but I got in too late. So all my buddies from, a lot of fitness guys went in the mortgage industry because it was quick, easy money. Everybody did, right? Back then, like 2004, 2005, I didn't want to leave my passion. So it was hard for me. I was kind of like the last one that did. And I did it right before the crash. So I did it right before the crash. And I made pretty good money. Like, when I initially did it, I made, like, my first month, 100 grand, and I never made that kind of money in my life. I've been, a personal trainer, that's it. Even though I was training 30, 40 hours a week, which is a lot of training to actually physically train clients that many hours a week. You're working for a big box gym. They're taking all that, you're not making much money. Right. So I was still struggling, but then I'm like, fuck, I'd never seen that kind of money in my life, because my dad was, a hard worker, but he was never like crazy successful because he never thought huge. You know what I mean? He just went and did his job and that's it. So I never seen or felt that kind of money. So for me, it's just like, oh shit, like, here we go. And I started spending it foolishly. I acted like I was going to make 100 grand every month. I was 25 years old, never seen it. So that's a lesson I learned. And then the crash happened. And then I basically lost everything, man. Like, we bought a bunch of stuff. I was with my wife. We had our first child, had our second child on the way, and lost everything. Literally all of our cars got repoed. $40,000 in credit card debt, got kicked out of our house, like, bottom, like, what I mean? From ultimate high to ultimate bottom, like, in a 2-month span, like that quick. And I remember that feeling as a man. Like, because I've always support, like, our household, I've always been worked, and she's taking care of the home, which is a crazy full-time job that she does regardless. Like, that's hard as shit with 4 kids. Yeah, with 4 kids. So that's always been the dynamic between us. So I basically failed as a man, bro. And I never remember, like, that feeling when we were, like, hiding from the repo, man. Like we were literally hiding. Like, he was coming with a flashlight trying to get the car. And that feeling, like, with my wife in the dark, like, I'll take that with me, like, till the day I fucking die. And that's why from that moment on, I'm like, this is never going to happen again. I will never fail my wife and myself and my family as far as getting to that point financially. So a lot of hard lessons, right, that I learned right at that moment. And that's still a chip I carry on my shoulder, that really the fear of that is what drives me, kind of what propelled me to build all of this. So I said, fuck this. I'm getting back to my passion, which is fitness. So I'm sticking with my passion. I'm going to ride this out for the rest of my life, because I know it fills me. It's literally, I eat, breathe, and sleep bodybuilding. Like, I mean, you see me on my stories and stuff like that. I still do it now with everything I have going. I fucking love the work. I love it. I love working out, the way I feel, everything. I'm going to do as long as I physically can. So I'm going to go back to that. So I went back to the gym business, but I obviously had 2 kids at this time. I needed more money than just like a gym, big box gym, personal trainer money. Like, that's get you so far. Like, yeah, if you're a single guy, like, making that kind of money at the top, like, okay, you may have a decent life, but when you're trying to provide for a big family, you need more than that, right?
California.
So I got into gym sales. I started selling memberships. Huh?
I was
Yeah,
saying,
in California. I
California.
started selling gym memberships. And then when I started selling, yeah, exactly. And I live in California, unfortunately. We'll get, I'm sure we'll get into that talk later, how it's been for the last year and a half for me out here. But got into gym sales, went up the ranks really quick. Like I said, I can sell ice to Eskimo. So went up in the ranks really quick, went from a bare bottom membership salesman to assistant manager within like 4 months. And then I went to running my general manager of sales of my own club within a year. And typically that position is like a low six figure, 80 to 110 grand position. So really quickly from being broke to, okay, I mean, some people would think low six figures is good money, but you know what I mean? So I went to that position, worked for that company for about 6 years. And I ran their biggest clubs. It's a gym chain out here. They have 100,000 square foot gym. So really huge, big box gyms, 100,000 plus square feet. I ran the sales department for memberships and the sales department for personal training, the daily training with my team. I still sold memberships as well. That whole gig, I was making at my peak about 150. But I was working 9 to 9. Gym sales, gym gig, working 9 to 9, sometimes 7 days a week. I was missing my kids' life. I would leave when they were sleeping, get back when they were sleeping. Like I missed their sports, like all that kind of shit. And on top of that, I was still broke as fuck. Like 150 in California with 4 kids is like you're paying your bills if you're lucky, right? After taxes, right? So I was like, and then I was just like, I was nowhere near owning those kind of cars. I had posters on my wall as a kid, right? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I was like, I have to be an entrepreneur. I have self-employed. I barely graduated high school. Went to junior college for a couple of years and partied and fucking never finished a class. School's not my thing. Like, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm just a fucking worker. Like, I don't like school. So I was just making money. So I tried to think, how can I still do my passion, which is fitness, and do something on the side hustle, turn into a full hustle. And that's where I came up with the gym clothing company, Til You Collapse. And the meaning behind that name is, if you have a Til You Collapse work ethic and everything you do every day, you literally give it 100%, maybe not literally till you collapse, but figuratively, if you really think about it and you work that much towards your goals 7 days a week, you're going to make progress. You're going to get the goal. So that's the main mantra behind the brand and the name. We do the work. We put in a Til You Collapse work ethic every single day, basically. So I started that up, built it up for a year on the side. So literally 18 to 20 hour days, because I had the gym gig, which was 12 to 15 hour days. And I would go home and all night work on this company, and built it up to low six figures within the first year. So at that point I was fucking dead. Working that much is not realistic for the long period. I mean, yeah, you can have stints of working like that, but it's not realistic to always work 18, 20 hour days. Like, you'll fucking die, right? So I did that for about a year, and I was on my wit's end, even seeing my kids and family less, because I wasn't seeing them before. But then add that into the mix, and it's like, we're going to pay some dues here. And I quit the gym job, and everyone thought I was crazy. They actually tried to give me a promotion to like a general manager, district general manager. So they wanted me to run the sales for like 5 gyms under me, basically district sales manager. It'd be like a 200 grand a year gig, and like a pay raise, everything. And they trying to basically bait me not to leave with this new the job I was kind of working towards. Like, here it is for you. And I still took that big step. I'm like, no, 200 grand a year is not going to do it. I'm going to see my kids even less. I'm not going to be buying the kind of cars I want with that kind of pay. So I took that huge leap, and that was 7 years ago, because the company's 8 years old. And the first year when I was doing both gigs, I remember everybody talking shit, everybody thinking I was crazy, everyone doubting me. Because here's the thing, for the first 4 years of the company, I did everything. I did art design, I did photography, I did website design, I did advertising, marketing, website design. I figured out all of it on my own. This is before all the podcasts. There was no podcast then. It was just Google. My dumbass fucking meathead trying to figure this shit out. That's the reality of it, honestly, back then. And I knew I had a goal, and I knew I'm just a fucking work. I just work, even though I don't know. That's one of my strengths, is just work, and I'll figure out along the way. That's my mantra. And over the first 3 years of the company, it was hard. I was grossing as a company like 130, but as you know, with a business, you're grossing 130. What you're netting, what you actually make, especially in an apparel company, is a lot less. So we were actually making less money for the first almost 4 years than we were even making before. And not only me working 15-hour days on our business, I was literally slanging and hustling anything I could on the side just to pay our bills. And that's what people don't get. They see entrepreneurs, they see where I'm at now after 8 years of working my fucking ass off. And that's where they think they're going to be if they start a company tomorrow, or if they don't know, they start a company and they're 6 months or a year in, they're like, why don't I have what this guy has on Instagram? And I try to be transparent and tell them, like, if you can't work 15-hour days and realistically not even see instant gratification or reward, and then have to go and hustle some shit to fucking feed your family and keep your lights on, because that's what I did for 4 years. If you can't get through that, good luck getting to that place where I'm at now. And that's where people don't realize. They see where we get and where we're at, and they don't realize. And I try to explain and share like the process to get there, right? Because that's what it was. And then we had our worst year ever. The 4th year, we grossed 80 grand. And before I was selling it out of my trunk. Everyone remembers me locally selling out of my trunk of my car, leggings and t-shirts. And I designed them. They look like shit. But the thing is if you have passion behind something, and if you're real, like how you are and stuff like that with your post, people react to it because they can sense the passion. They can sense the realness. They buy into you, and they bought into me, and they supported my brand, even though my designs were shitty. The name of the brand, the meaning of the brand, the fact that I lived, eat, and breathed it, and they knew I was real about it, they bought into me. They're like, we're going to support this guy regardless. And then obviously the brand has transitioned, and we have just as nice designs and quality product to go along with that. But in the beginning, that got me by. So that's how important that is, guys. Listen up. If you have passion and meaning and purpose behind it, and you really have a powerful message you can convey, you will get people to follow you and support you. And then obviously you have amazing product. You need to have an amazing product to back that up as well. But even more important than the amazing product is that why and that passion, and that real has to be a real meaning. You have to live it. You can't just talk about doing the work and then not do the work. People will see right through that, right? Yeah. So then I had the worst year ever. I know this is a little long-winded, but you asked for my story. I'm gonna give it as quick as possible, then we can talk about it. I feel bad for just talking. Your beard is beautiful. You need some wind blowing through that thing.
How you?
I got you. So anyways, had the worst year ever. 80 grand gross in California with 3 kids at the time. And that's maybe 40 grand take home if I'm lucky. 40 grand, 4 years. And I really want to tell you, because I want your listeners to hear this and feel what I felt and know what I've gone through to overcome to get to the point I am. So after hustling for 3 years, 15-hour days, hustling, selling shit on the side, maybe some shit I shouldn't be selling to make ends meet. I had my worst year ever. And this is because of, the kind of designs we had, the kind of clothes we had. Instagram was just starting to get big. I had way more competition coming into the market. Instagram companies pop up every day. There's an influencer starting a new apparel company, everything like that. So it was becoming a different market, and had our worst year ever, literally grossed 40K. And I had this gym still trying to hire me and recruit me. We'll give you 160K. Here's 160K. So imagine being a man supporting a family, remembering when I failed before. I'll never let that happen again, right? And I have this 160 grand tempting me right here. I have 40 grand here, barely being able to pay my bills. But I was never going to compromise my ambition and my dream to build the company and get to that point, because I felt like that would be going backwards. Even though I'd be getting more money, that'd be going backwards. So obviously I turned that shit down. I made even another decision which shocked everybody. I moved it out of my trunk and my garage to my first warehouse. I was like, fuck this. I need to get out of the house. This is a real company. I can't keep doing this out of the house. I need to get an employee and make this a real thing and really focus on work, because it's hard when you're home with kids and shit to just focus. When you work from home, you got to get out of the house. So I moved into our first warehouse. I totally revamped the brand. I redid the website on my own. I kind of looked at trends in the athletic apparel community. I looked at, okay, our brand, this is not trending. These are the things that are trending, which was more like a Lululemon vibe, more neutral shit, more basic shit, higher quality. Our shit used to be like 20 to 30 bucks. It's more than double and triple the price. So I changed my brand to more of a premium brand, a lot higher quality, a lot more of that style of clothing. Did that. really doubled down on some marketing, influencer stuff like that. We went from 80 grand to 1.1 million in like 6 months. So my life completely transformed, like in literally that amount of time. Obviously it took almost 5 years to get there, but initially that 6 months, it just literally from 80 grand to 1.1 million in 6 months, which, business, that's crazy growth, right? And ever since then, we've been growing. I started investing in myself. At that point, I was just kind of going blindly. Like, I know that I'm going to work harder than anyone, even though I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm going to figure it out. But at that point, when you get to that level, you need more sophistication to it. Like, that blunt work ethic will only get you so far. But then that's when I started investing in myself. I did the Arete Syndicate. I was first member of their group with Andy and Ed. Andy's always been a big mentor to me. Now we're good friends. And I'm still part of that group. So I really started to invest in myself. And when I started investing in myself and being, not such as a blunt instrument of a worker, but more, precise of what I'm doing and learning more what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And it's funny, a lot of the stuff I learned, I kind of was already doing. I just didn't even really know. I was just doing it. I kind of learned it through the process, because that's the best way to learn, is through doing, right? But yeah, ever since then, I've been investing in myself for the last 4 years, and the company's continuously growing. It's been growing, we're almost at the 8-figure mark, which is, 10 million plus a year. Not quite there. We're going to be there. Then COVID hit and kind of knocked this back down a little bit, but we're back on track now. So, and I'm just doing what I love. Like I said, I get to come in here. I get to live fitness, preach it. I got my gym's attached to my warehouse right here. And I've just created a life for me doing what I love, what I'm passionate about. And yeah, and that's kind of where we're at now. And now I've gotten this company running how it is. I have 7 full-time employees. And then I have multiple other companies. The CBD brand I started about a year ago. And then I have my coaching business as well, company as well. So just branching off now that I finally have a foundation and I'm not the only one doing everything. I brought in other people to do kind of everything that I was doing as one, and they're doing a better job than me. And yeah, it's constant work, and it's definitely there's been a process. But what I tell people, one thing I want to just share with your listeners, there's 3 things that if you're really good at, you can get pretty far. And there's 3 things that I'm really good at, because there's a lot of fucking shit I suck at still. Really. I'm ADD. I'm all over the place. I just want to lift heavy weights and slap a big fat ass, and that's about it. That's what I love doing. So to be real, I mean, but 3 things is take action. So I've always taken massive action, even when I didn't have a clue what the hell was going on. All these people getting scared or frozen, like, I don't know what to do. I got to plan it. I got to write out a fucking vision, like a fucking beautiful mind shit to bring me here. I didn't know. I still don't know half the time. I just do the shit, and you're going to figure it out through the process. So take massive action, work your ass off. Hard work, nothing replaces doing the work and hard work that other people won't do, because most motherfuckers out there are lazy. They talk about working, they act like they're working, but they're not actually working. Like, dude, you said you grinded all day. You worked fucking 7 hours a day, and you did that half-ass at that too. So work hard, take action, and just stay consistent. It's just the consistency behind that, day in and day out. Even when you don't want to do it, just continuously do it. And those are 3 things I've really flourished at and I'm good at. And that's why I've gotten where I've gotten, because a lot of other than that, I pretty much suck at everything else. So if you have those 3 pillars, you can get pretty far in life, and anything you do, fitness, business, relationships, anything like that. And like, yeah, it's just, and that's kind of where I'm at now, man. And I'm living it, and I'm breathing it, and I'm preaching it, and I'm coaching other entrepreneurs. I have a couple high-level athletes and entrepreneurs that I coach and stuff like that. And like I said, I don't know everything, but I know some things. I mean, through experience though. Like anything I try to teach I'm not a guy out here trying to teach things I haven't experienced. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And God, those points you made, it's so true. Like, everybody wants, like, what's the secret? Like, there must be something I'm not doing. And it's like, no, man, you're not working hard enough. You're not putting in enough time. You're not being consistent. Like I was telling you, I worked a corporate gig while I was building my other business. Like I worked fucking 7:30 to 5:30 in an office. Then I went 6:30 to 2 a.m. building my business.
Exactly.
Repeat.
Exactly. And when we said that, that's why I'm like, me and this dude are so like in so many ways. It's crazy when you start talking to me, because that's exactly what I did. Exactly. But that's what everybody doesn't want to do. They don't want to do that, because
they'll ask you like, what, dude, why are you doing that? Like, this is insane. You're working way too hard. And then when you achieve a certain level or get to a certain place, they'll say, must be nice, you know?
Oh yeah.
It's like,
Oh yeah.
must be fucking nice, you know?
Oh yeah. I can't stand that shit. I can't stand when people say that. That's like, you must be nice, because here's the thing for me, like, I just bought my first house 3 years ago at 36 years old.
Yeah.
Like, my credit was 500 until 4 years ago at 35 years old. I literally tell people, like, over the last 3 years is really where I've even had any extra money to do anything. Like, it seems like it's come on rather quickly because I've been broke as shit for so long. Like, 5 years broke as shit. And then the last 3 years, the company took that turning point. But it did because that all those years of what we talked about, and people don't realize it's going to take years. Like, not just 1 year, 2 years, and everyone's different. Some companies take 10 years, some companies take a couple years. Is that all different situations are different, but it's going to take years of that consistency and that hard work. And that's what people need to realize, is that's really what gets you there. Because it's easy to quit, right? It's fucking easy. Like, it's hard to work hard and stay consistent when you're tired, when you don't want to do it, when everything is happening outside that's trying to stop you from doing it, right? And to do that for not just a week, not just 2 weeks, not just a month, for fucking years, man. You know what I mean? And that's just what separates the people that get to a certain point and not. And it's not rocket science, it's not magic, it's really simple facts. And if you follow a lot of entrepreneurs and successful people on Instagram, a lot of times we talk about the same shit. And the reason why a lot of times it's a similar message is because it's the similar shit that gets us there. It's like we all have done that to get to where we are, and that's why we are where we are. So it's like, now we're all trying to copy each other. It's like, these are the legitimate facts. Like, this is what's got us there,
It's like what works, man. And Andy talks about, like, he doesn't mind sharing exactly how he does things at his company because he knows nobody else is going to do the work and go at it as hard as he has for so long. And so, it's not like there's some secret sauce that everybody keeps to themselves. It's like, this stuff is simple, right?
And
now, I wanted to ask you a question. I found it interesting that you said that when you were at your lowest, that 80K year, it was your worst year yet. You decided then to go in on getting the warehouse. What was that mindset? Like, why did you decide then? Like, we just had our worst year. I'm going to double down and actually go in on getting a warehouse instead of working from home.
So that was probably one of the hardest things that I've done, other than, that initial leap when you go do it full time, when you leave your corporate gig full time. That's what everyone's scared of. But I knew there was no compromise, and there was nothing going to happen that I wasn't going to follow this dream and this goal to be self-employed and to live the kind of life I want to live, which was freedom, time, and being able to do whatever the fuck I want when I want was the number one. And the second one is be able to fucking have a harem of cars eventually. So I knew that there was no going back, because going back to that comfortable life and that salary would not get me there. I would just be stuck in that rut, and that was it. So I knew that this was it. And I was realistic with myself. Why is my company where it's at? What's going on? What changes need to be made in order to go in the right direction? And that's kind of what I came up with. It was like, I can't keep doing this shit out of my house, half distracted by kids, half distracted by my wife, selling shit out of my trunk. Like, I need to figure this out. And this is a real business, and I need to treat it like a real business. So I need to take that risk and double down. And when everyone says, shrink up and play it safe, I said, fuck that. I'm going to do the opposite, right? And double down. So that's kind of what I did. I just knew that I needed to advance the business and change the things I changed. And I wasn't going to fail. There was no failure. There was no quit. There was no doubt in my mind, because I knew I would do whatever it took to get it there. That's the kind of mindset I have. So I wasn't going to fail. It was just going to allow me to do what I needed to do to kind of get to the level that I got to, basically. So that was kind of the mindset I had for myself, where, like I said, most people would have gone right back to that gym job and played it safe, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But playing it safe is not the way to be. You can't play it safe. Every single one of us that has any whatever you want to call success. I feel like I'm not successful at all. I have so much more that I want to do. But anybody that gets to a certain level has not played it safe. You ask all these motherfuckers I know, Andy, Sean, Danny Dixon, all these guys I'm friends with that I talk to on a normal basis, they've all not played it safe. There's a reason. It's a trend. Like they've not played it safe, and look at where they've gotten. You have to take that risk and you have to go all in, because playing it safe will never get you to that elite level. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you also have to, once you make that decision to go all in, like you did, you have to be prepared to work your fucking ass off. That I think
that's it
too is like, you can't just burn the boats and then lay on the beach. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. And that's the thing. And that's what I said, this, and it's just like I said, I talk with a lot of young guys, and a lot of people, like I said, they see where I'm at now. And like I said, I don't feel like I'm shit, honestly, because I have such big goals, but they just don't realize it's not as complicated as they're trying to make it. And it's not, and I never say everybody could do it, because everybody can't do it. I mean, the ones that get to, we are not normal. We're not like most people. We are a rare breed. And I'm not shy in saying that, because the amount of work, the amount of consistency, the amount of eating shit it takes, normal people can't handle that shit. And the way society is going, it's going to be less and less competition for us, because as soft as people are getting and as soft as the society is getting, there's going to be less and less entrepreneurs and motherfuckers like us with the grit to get through this shit, because they just want the easy fucking cushy life where they get a fucking check from the government and sit on their ass. Like right now, there's more jobs than ever and no one can even find employees. Motherfuckers want to sit around and be lazy. Like that's what we have to compete with. Like I'm not worried about my competition coming up. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad, really. I mean,
same thing with our kids, man. It's like you're teaching your kids to be winners, whereas so many other people's kids, right, are being taught like participation trophy mentality. You know, what's going to happen? They're going to get walked all over by
100%.
Yeah, and look, 100%. I'm okay with that. Like, you know, I'm sorry, but there's always winners and losers in life, and you know, I know the work that has to be done, and I'm not shy. I think this is a big part of it, is like you're shamed today for talking about this stuff. Like you're told you're a bad person for talking about hard work and all these things that have made you the man you are today, and so many other guys I've had on the podcast. It's like it's called toxic and all this stuff, but really when you break it down, it's just people who don't want to put in the effort and the work to do what you've done. And so it's easier for them to just call it names and try to get it pushed aside. Whereas, I mean, it's inevitable. That shit is going to come back to bite them in the ass one day when they're wondering why, you know, they don't have anything, and they're, you know, because as long as you try and rely on like a government safety net or someone else to save you, you're going to fail. Right. Like,
well, it's just I can't stand that shit. And it's just like that must be nice mentality.
Yeah, exactly.
Like must be nice. Like, and the thing is like, I'm relatively younger. You're relatively younger. I mean, I'm not that young. I'm 39, but yeah. I feel like I'm doing okay for myself as far as like the type of cars I have now. Like I've earned every fucking thing I have. And there's not one thing I'm ashamed of, but I feel like people judge me before they even know my story. Especially now more than ever. Like when they see me get out of my cars, like I look younger, I'm fit, I got a bunch of tats. Like they want to judge me. They have no clue what I've done or what I do or the type of personality I am or who I am. And I'm sure you get judged too. I mean, it's just part of what, I mean, yeah. Right. I mean, right. I mean, right. But like I said, and then, but watching your stories and who you are, you're such a fucking well-rounded dude. And like the shit you talk about. And that's why I relate with you. Cause I'm very similar to you. Like, yeah, we're big, hard, strong motherfuckers, but we're also got like sensitive sides and shit like that. And we're not scared to talk about them. Like, and that's how I am too. And most people trip out when they talk to me. I'm really worried for these future generations. And I know my kids will be okay because I've been instilling in them since they were young, like that old school values and mindset and work ethic. And I know they're going to actually excel because of what they have around them is going to, and the way they are is going to excel even more. Because back in the day, more people were like us, like, you know what I mean? Our generation and older. And now it's just crazy. Just the mindset that we all should be the same. Like, we all shouldn't be the same. Like, that's the last thing I want to be, is like everybody else. You know what I mean? And I know you feel that, because just you can tell by just looking at us. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's frustrating, man. This whole world of the last year and a half, like, I've been in California for, I haven't shut my business down one day. All my employees actually got raises through COVID. I haven't worn a mask in California one day. Like, I'm standing up for what I believe in. I had COVID. Like, yeah, I got COVID, and it was something different than I've ever had. But I mean, I was on my stairs the next day when I had COVID. That's the kind of grit and who I am. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just wild to me what they've done to our country and this whole fucking thing. It's just, I feel like we're in a fucking movie. And I remember as it kept playing out, I'm like, oh, they're not going to do that. They're not going to shut shit down. Like, it's like, from the beginning, I was looking at the facts and what it was. And I'm like, this is just like a different strain of the flu, kind of. Like, yeah, of course it affects sick and old people, but so does the flu and shit. Like, what are we talking about? They're not going to shut. And then it just kept going. I'm like, are we in a fucking movie? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I literally felt like this has been a movie for the last year and a half, and we're fucking living it. And none of us have ever seen some shit like this. Our parents, our grandparents, like, really hasn't seen anything like this, man. So, yeah, I mean, of course, people get sick and die. That's part of life, unfortunately. We don't want to see anyone get sick and die, man, from anything, right? But it's just part of life, and I just feel like, I don't know. I don't know if you want to go on this tangent. But anyways, I feel the same way you do. And like I said, I'm glad shit's starting to go in the right direction, but I've been living in one of the worst state possible to this whole thing. I mean, I'm like the only motherfucker, like, I walk through the airports without a mask. I put it on just to get on the plane, and I take it down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I do the minimum I have to, you know what I mean? Like, I walk up to security with no mask. They make me put it on as soon as I get out of security. Like, in California, people think I'm crazy, and I'm like the only motherfucker doing it. And the thing that drives me crazy is, like, I know half you guys feel the same way I do. And it's like, the main thing I've tried to do and I've tried to preach about is, like, stand up for what you believe in. Like, if you don't believe it's right, by you just not wanting to make waves and not wanting to make confrontation and doing something you don't think is right, is just as bad, right? I mean, that's the thing, is that's why it's worse. That's why this thing's getting so on. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. Like, why don't you just put it on? I don't put it on because A, it doesn't work, and B, I don't believe in it. Like, you know what I mean?
I had Sean Zimmer on yesterday. He's up in Canada. He's his Instagram. He's like the Viking. He's got really good stuff. He's speaking out. He's to me, he's kind of like the Ian Smith of Canada. Like, he's speaking out.
Nice.
All this stuff. He's running boot camps in his backyard. He refuses, like, he's put up videos with cops, like, looking over his fence, in his backyard while he's doing boot camps, and he's telling them to fuck off. And so I had him on yesterday.
Awesome.
Dude, it really is. You should check him out. And he was saying kind of the same thing. He's like, in Canada, it's like everybody is so nice. They're like, everybody is like, yeah, this is bullshit. I can't believe because it's bad up there, man. They're still locked down.
It's really bad. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's terrible. And he's outspoken. He stands up for what he believes in, but he's like, it's the exact same thing. Pretty much everybody feels the way I do. But people in Canada, Canadians are known as, like, being super nice people.
Yeah.
They're all afraid to say something. He's like, so they're just being mindlessly, sheep, basically, is to use a cliche term that people throw around a lot. But, like,
yeah,
it's unfortunate that it seems like the government up there has taken advantage of that kindness of those people and their willingness to let them walk all over them. And, it really seems like that is kind of what is going on places like where you are too. It's like, I don't think all Californians believe in this shit,
And most people I associate with, like friends of mine and people I know, they wear it, but they agree with me. And I've even had a few that, like, they're like, you've inspired me to not wear it. Like, a couple, you know what I mean? Because I haven't. They're like, they watch me in my stories sometimes, and I haven't talked about it as much lately, but because I feel like I'm just beating a dead horse. But I talked about it a good amount in the back, like probably about 6 months ago on. I was talking about it a lot, but I said my piece. I'm moving on. But the thing is, like you said, if you don't believe in it, don't do it. And that's not just with this COVID thing. That's like values with anything, right? Like if you don't believe it, not just COVID, like this is just really amplifying it, but it really shows you the mentality of a lot of people, which is unfortunate that, you know, they don't want any kind of confrontation, even if they believe in something opposite, which is what has caused everybody to be like that. Because back in the day, more people were like me and you, where we stand up for what we believe and we speak our mind. Like we don't put up a bullshit, especially when it's not warranted. What's happened? I mean, what do you think's happened? Like, fuck, man. I mean, when you see it on a mass scale, like we've seen over the last year and a half, when you know that many people, like, and I know there's a good amount of people that are like us, that feel like us and speak up like us, but I feel like there's even more that feel like it that don't. Why?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things, man. I mean, you know Aubrey Huff, right?
Yeah, that's actually one of my clients. I've helped him start his brand he just started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought you were involved with Alpha America.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had him on, you know, and we talked about all this stuff as well. But you know, his whole thing was it's basically a way, like, because I was like, why is there this attack on masculinity, right? Like that's where it started. It was like, why are they targeting guys like us, to put it simply, right? Your traditional masculine protector, provider, you know, strong male figures. And it's ultimately because if you want to control a population, you go for the strongest people first, right? So that's kind of his whole theory behind it. And then I've talked to some other folks who agree with that. And, you know, it makes sense to me. But I think the reason you're seeing what you're talking about is like people believing what we believe, but being afraid to stand up is because of this effort at, and I hate, you know, sounding like a conspiracy theorist, but it is what it is, right? They're at risk of losing their jobs, of being, you know, demonized in social media by their friends and their family, and, you know, being canceled. And so there's real life ramifications at like losing your livelihood just for having opinions these days, which is, I mean, it's un-American, right? It's terrible that it's this way, but I think that it's kind of a part of this thing that Aubrey and I talked about, like this attack on masculinity. So if you get it to where there's a system where people who speak up lose their jobs, for example, that's just another way, right, to eliminate these strong people who are going to prevent issues for you. And Sean Zimmer, who I talked to yesterday, the guy in Canada, he said there's more women speaking up there than men, which is like, dude, what the hell is that?
Yeah, I can't believe other countries. Like I know some people like Australia, like UK, Canada, like obviously we've had it bad here, but those countries are bad too, even still. I mean, I feel like now we're finally getting to be the other side of it, thankfully. But shit, man, those other countries are still in the thick of it. It's crazy.
And it seems like for no reason. It's like just, you know, like Canada's just like, I mean, the cases aren't worse up there. There's no reason, but they're locked down. Like, I think he said, finally, gyms can be at 25%. Fucking a year and a half later, man. I don't even get it,
man.
It's insane.
No, it's a trip. I mean, my worry too is it's like a precursor of things to come. Like, you know what I mean? Like now, like it's happened. They see how people responded. They see how much control. I mean, it's not constitutional. Everything they did is like against everything this country's been built on.
Yeah.
Like that's my main thing is like, and here's the thing. If you want to wear a mask, here's how I am, bro. If you want to wear a mask, if you want to get the vaccine, more power to you. I'm not going to judge you. I don't give a fuck. I'm not a judgy person. I'm a person about let's all win. Let's all work. Let's spread positivity. Let's support each other, regardless of what your fucking political shit is. Like that shit you posted the other day, like where it was like black, white, Republican, Democrat. Cross that out. Like we're fucking Americans / humans. Like that's it. That's how I feel, bro. And like if you want to do that, I respect your decision, but I expect you to fucking respect my decision to not wear a mask and not get a vaccine. Because at the end of the day, I thought this was a free country, and that's what it's supposed to be about. But it's not. That's what it's transitioning to be something totally different, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, and that's where shit changed. Crazy was when, like, I am 100% like you. Live and let live. I don't care who you want to have sex with. I don't care what your body. I don't care what, raise your kids however you want, do what you want. But as soon as you start to say that I have to change or I have to alter my way of life because of your beliefs, then we have a problem, right? And that's where things have gone.
For sure.
And people use this excuse, right? Like, well, it's about my safety. And I'm like, well, look, if it's about your safety, if you cared about your safety, you wouldn't be 70 pounds overweight, eating shitty fast food if you really cared about your safety. Stop with that bullshit, whether I wear a mask has nothing to do with the fact that you're a pre-diabetic asshole, so.
All that shit. But here's the thing.
Oh, go for it, brother.
Go for it. I don't know. This Zoom thing's tripping me out, bro. It's all good.
I got a little ranty there, but before we go down that road, I did want to ask, like, going back to your story before I forget about it. What was it always like when you started out? Did you like a fitness apparel? Is that what you always knew you wanted to do? And then you've definitely gone more of like the female apparel route. Was that just originally in your mind's eye?
No, so apparel, I'm a fucking typical dude, bro. Like I wear the same gym shirt I have for the last 5 years, has holes in it. Fucking half my underwear has holes in it. Like, I'm not stylish. I'm not. Just recently I've started to get put together, but me, up to the most part, like, I'm a typical dude. Don't ask me to match shit. Like, fashion is not my thing. Like, apparel's not my thing. It was just my segue to what can I build to 8-9 figures, what has the potential to build to 8-9 figures, the kind of wealth I'm looking to bring, opportunities and stuff like that, where I can give back and create opportunities for people. And also still has to do with fitness, because that was my passion. I couldn't leave that. So what is out there where I could build that kind of wealth, still doing what I love, still doing my passion? Really, the only thing I kept racking my brain, the only thing was like that. Like, I had no interest in apparel. The main thing was the fitness side of it. And then the apparel was the segue basically for that kind of goal. And then, so it's that transition. And then as that transition, it started with mainly guy stuff, because I was the only model. I was the only representation. It was just regular guy shirts that looked like shit that I designed. People bought because they supported me, even though it looked like a fucking 6-year-old made the design on the shirt. And then it segued into, I released a couple of girls things. I released it like a legging, and they just blew up, because typically girls do more shopping, they spend more money at that kind of shit. And then it just transitioned to, okay, this is where the response and the money was. And I just built more of, it's still a men's and a women's apparel line, except like 90, like on our Instagram followings, mainly women. Our customers are on getting the guys side going, because I am missing out on, there's revenue potential there. Like, I am missing out on business there, but it's almost like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And people always try to chase something, and then they take their eye off of what's working. So I definitely have guys stuff working. I still have a bunch of guys t-shirts coming. It's basic t-shirts, but as far as a premium guys line, is kind of like my premium, because my women's stuff is basically like the highest quality, like Lululemon and stuff you can get. My guy stuff just isn't the same caliber. It's more stuff I wear, just these regular hats, basic t-shirts, sweat shorts and stuff like that, which is more my vibe. I've tried to stay true of, like, I'm not going to chase trying to please other people. I'm going to stay true with what I like. And if somebody likes it, they'll fuck with it. If not, then hey, no skin off my ass. But it just transitioned to women were the main customers. They were buying stuff like 5-to-1. So I just focused on what was working basically, and just ran with that,
Yeah, I was always curious about that. I was like, because I know you do both guys and girls, but obviously there's a big emphasis on the female lines, and the stuff you guys make is beautiful. Obviously, I'm just a dude saying that. I mean, it looks nice to me, and you guys do great at selecting your models. I'll say that. But I was always curious, like, did this guy just really like female apparel, or did he feel out the market and then go where it took him? So that makes a lot of sense. How do you, like, I've had several people from the
not like,
I think we're having a lag here. Sorry, brother.
That's okay. Go ahead. I think you came back.
Okay, yeah. So what I was just going to say is like I've had a few guys on, in that space, like Sean Whalen obviously is big with Lions Not Sheep. Seth Feroce does his thing. I had Andy Lewis, who's Norse Fitness. They do a bunch of apparel, and just several guys in like the fitness apparel space. Do you think now that it's because we obviously, in some ways, technology makes it quote easier to start a business, to slap a Instagram profile up and start, doing quote business or playing business. But do you think it's easier today or back when you started to actually get into this space? Because it seems like a hyper competitive.
Oh, night and day easier now than it was back when I did it. Night and day, as far as with technology and social media and all that kind of stuff. Right. I mean, it's night and day easier. It's easier to get started, like you said, but it's still no easier to grow. And to once you grow, maintain. It's still obviously that's the hardest thing, right? It's always hard to grow something, and then even harder that people don't realize once you get to a certain level, maintaining that and going to even another level. And that's kind of where I'm at now. But yeah, it's definitely easier than ever because you think about back when I did it, there was almost no Instagram. There was no podcasts. Think about all the crazy information on podcasts nowadays, right? Crazy. It's great. Wealth of knowledge, but none of that. Even Andy's podcast hadn't started. Andy's one of my main mentors. His podcast, I've listened to every fucking episode, and he's one of the biggest motivators and pushers for me that got help get me where I'm at because I actually do the shit he teaches or talks about, right? I actually do it. But there was none of that for the first couple years. So I was a couple years in, and then that stuff started coming out. And then I started jumping on that kind of stuff and the Instagram and stuff like that. But it's definitely easier than ever. I mean, you can start something like that. You can start it, get up and running, but it's never easy. People always think that, and they think it's easy because it's so easy to start, but getting sales is not easy. Yeah. Selling shit, consistently getting sales, building a following, and then maintaining that and growing that is still harder than ever. You know what I mean? But it's definitely easy to get started. And apparel is very saturated. I mean, apparel is probably the hardest gig out there because it's such an easy company to start. It's such a low cost. I mean, you can just print a couple hundred shirts for $800. You just get a company name, start a website, and then you have a company. You know what I mean? So it's very easy and low cost to start. It was one of the highest saturated, one of the hardest industries because of that reason. It's so low cost. It's so easy to start. But also apparel, like the statistics you look at, like the people that actually get to 6 figures, actually get to 7 figures, like it's crazy how the numbers fall off because it's just very hard. And here's here's the thing, like Seth is an amazing guy. Sean's a fucking killer dude. Like those guys are doing it right. And they have their core following, which they initially built off of, and then they can kind of build from that. You know what I mean? And I wish I had that too, because when I did it, I had literally, and you see all these influencers, like you see every day a new company based on somebody with 1 million followers and a big influence. And I'm not hating on that. I respect that actually, because if I could do that, if I could literally have a huge following of people that legitimately followed me and supported me, and I could monetize it and start a company and have it be 6 figures from day one, 7 figures from day one, more power to that. That's the smart thing you should do. You should build and monetize a following. I didn't. I literally did this shit the old fashioned way where I had 0 followers. No one knew who the fuck I was. And everything looked like this was built out of the gutter, which like I said, that's just was my situation and the reality of what I did. I respect and love people doing that. That's great to start with that kind of following and monetize it. By all means, I would do the same shit, right? But I wasn't in that position. I literally started with 0 followers, 0 customers. No one knew who the fuck I was. And that's a totally different situation. And that's why a lot of these influencers too, I'm interested to see them in the coming years because, the money has come different than somebody that starts from 0. Like they're going to have to learn business and continue it and build it because it will come quicker than normal, but also they're going to have to learn to maintain that shit. Right. So that's the difference right there. So like from Andy, where he started from 0, I started from 0, like I said, I'm not taking anything away from that. It's just a totally different situation.
Yeah. It's
the reality of it, The
way I look at it is these people who are starting as influencers, they've still they've still obviously put in a shitload of work to become an influencer, right? Like they
yeah, exactly.
They have people bought into what they're saying. So they've been doing the work, just a different type of work.
For sure.
You just
For sure.
to monetizing it, right? So I'm the same as you, man. More power to them. Good for them for doing it.
Hell yeah. So but that also is like so much more of that happening has affected. That's like in that transition period where I had the worst year ever and stuff like that. Just more of that stuff happening affects, right? Because they take market share. Market share suddenly taken by a bunch of different people. So it's just like I said, it's just powering through, weathering the storm. You know, it's going to happen, right? So, but yeah, man, it's just a crazy time online right now with social media and starting a business and following and stuff like that. It's a great thing, man. I mean, it's a great time to start a business and be able to really create something with, especially with the kind of followings they have, you know.
What's it like being in the CBD industry?
CBD industry is great, man. It's definitely a kind of like a gray area. It's great because the company that we have is such a high quality company. We really stand out because there's a lot of companies out there. It's a different industry. It's way different than apparel because it's almost like there's so many companies and they really don't give a fuck about their product or the quality. There's a few that do, but for the amount there is, it's just surprising how little actually care about their product, their presentation, standing behind what they're putting out, you know, that kind of stuff. So there's actually a lot of opportunity because our brand stands out because of all that kind of stuff. And it's stuff that my values, and then, like I said, transition from another company, those same values, you know, but it's definitely a great industry as far as, have you ever used any kind of products like that or?
Yeah. So I've used the I guess the droplets, the oil, you know, at night before bed to help with quality of sleep and inflammation from training and stuff like that. And I've had some of the gummy products and stuff just here and there. I don't use it regularly right now, but I have in the past. And I've actually used it before my dogs passed away. Used CBD products with my dogs, you know, for like their anxiety and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Oh, nice.
I'm a big fan. I'm a fan of
so it's great.
The actual not just the real thing too. So even though I'm in South Carolina.
Oh yeah. You know I am too, man. Puff pass. And obviously being out in California. But for me, like I said, CBD is just great. Like I said, stress, anxiety, all that kind of stuff. Pain relief for me has been great because I used to, obviously, as many years I've been lifting heavy, I just got shit that hurts all the time. So for me, I utilize it. I get the benefits from it. So it's another industry. It's definitely a slower growing industry just because like the regulations and limitations on advertising and all that kind of stuff. But like with anything, it's going to take time. You got to just stay consistent and grind through, even if it's going to be harder. Right. So, it's a great industry. I like it. You know, like I said, I use the products. I smoke regular weed too, like I said. So it's just, you know, and as far as like supplements, I'm on TRT. Back in the day, I took everything under the sun when I was trying to be a pro. Fucked all my shit up. So now I'm just on TRT. Now I'm on, you know, hormone replacement. I feel great. I'm 39. I feel like I'm 18. It's perfect. You know, all my levels are checked and everything's good. And yeah, man, I just use that kind of stuff to balance my pain and anxiety. And it's great.
Yeah, right on. But the industry, I'm glad you talked about that a little bit because to me, as somebody who's not in the industry, it just seems like one of those where it's so saturated. It's like every other day there's like some new CBD company. But that makes sense that, you know, a lot of people just don't focus on quality and they're not doing it the right way. You know, kind of like apparel, I guess. Every other day there's somebody slapping shit on a shirt and acting like they got it. So
and the only difference obviously with
dude, this delay is killing us, man. I hate this.
It's all good. It's good. What are you gonna say?
I was just going to say, like, so apparel and CBD, obviously the coaching, what's, you know, kind of what's next for you? Is there anything else you're looking at or just continuing to grow what you got?
Well, honestly, like I said, this is something that people tend to do. And it's a mistake most people make is, you know, they preach it online. You see all this shit like millionaires have all these sources of incomes and different sources of incomes and different like businesses, and then everybody thinks, oh, I need to start 3 different companies or 4 different companies, or I need to do all this shit. And the reality of it is, and why that message is misleading, is you need to do one fucking thing that you give your all to, like blood, sweat, tears, like my apparel company, you know, build something that lets you get to that point where you have the kind of financial, you know, success where you can be comfortable, you can have a team. It's never going to run itself, but yeah, it's if I leave for a week or two, this company's still running, right? And the thing is once you get to that point, then you can start looking into other avenues, other companies, other things that take your time, take your distraction, take your finances away from the main thing, because that's what it's going to do. Too many people try to right off the bat, I started 3 companies. How are you going to even manage that? You got your time, your focus, your finances spread over things that are growing. It's impossible. Then all 3 things fail. So I made sure I built one thing, got it to a good level, and then now I'm starting to branch out to other stuff. And that's one thing I want to reiterate to these guys listening is like, you find something, you go all in, you become very successful at that over years, and then you can start think of branching off. For me, I really love the coaching. That's fulfilling for me, really helping people win. Because the thing I'm about, there's plenty out there for all of us, man. Like I said, all of us can win. All of us can be successful and happy. I think a lot of people have the mindset, like I'm very competitive as well, but like people are competitive where like they don't want you to win. They don't want to share what they did because it almost feels like it's going to take away from them. Like, no, motherfucker, there's plenty of customers out there for all of us. Even the same industry. Most of the people I coach are people in the apparel industry. So like, why are you helping people, telling them what you've been through? Because A, they're not me. You know what I mean? So like I can coach them and give them all my knowledge and but it's on them to do the work over the years. That's on them. It's, you know, whether they do that or not, I don't control that. I can lead them to water. They got to fucking drink. But the coaching is very fulfilling because I love helping people win. I love helping people reach their goals. And that's what I'm mainly focusing on now. I mean, I'm focused on everything, but the coaching I really love doing is just helping people win and sharing what I've been through and helping transition to what they're dealing with type of thing. And as far as other things, I mean, I do some real estate stuff and I'm looking for more investment type stuff. So for me, it's more like I want to invest in people, invest in companies, and not so much have to be in it because my time with such a big family and stuff like that is already so thin. I don't have time to actually start things where I have to be in it and actually working in it type thing. So I'm definitely looking for investments and stuff like that I can be a part of and definitely help where I can because I'm not one that wants to get anything without putting in my dues. You know, I feel bad for like, I don't expect anything for free. I don't expect anything returned unless I earn it type of thing. But, you know, I'll put my input in, but more hands off type of shit because with everything I have right now, hands on, I mean, I'm already overwhelmed almost at times, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool, man. Right on. The coaching thing is very rewarding. You know, after I sold, I don't do business coaching, but, you know, after I sold my business, I focused on nutrition coaching just because I love it, you know, and I enjoy it. And man, there's just something about helping people, you know, improve their lives. That's just, it's fulfillment you can't get anywhere else, right? Like it's just a different thing.
Yeah.
So I definitely understand that.
100%. And that's, I do that as well. It's kind of like with my coaching, it's fitness, it's business, it's mindset. It's kind of like everything wrapped in together type thing, just because I've done fitness for so many years, but I just truly love doing it, man. And it's just rewarding. And it's like I said, I want to help people win, you know, I want us all to win, man. There's plenty out there for all of us. Yeah. And I respect when people win too, because like, I know what it took to do that. You know what I mean? Because I've been through it myself. So it's like I try to be around people that are winning me, that push me, that motivate me, you know, that type of thing. I just try to, that's the kind of vibe I want to be around. You know, people like, because there's so many, it's like I said, like we talk about the day and age now, it's just like there's so much of that not out there. You know what I mean? For the most part.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. It's a weird time where it's like a globally connected society, yet we're in many ways we're more disconnected than ever. And then it's like also a society with all these resources at our disposal, but there are fewer and fewer people who are going to be massively successful, right? Because of this mindset. It's a weird time. I think that it's a time of huge opportunity, like you said, for people who can bring forth those values of just hard work and like stop expecting something for nothing, stop expecting instantaneous results, put your head down, do some work for a few years, and you'll be shocked at where you end up, right?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. What's next for you, man? What are you looking to do?
Dude, that's a good question. I love doing this podcast. I love talking to people about their stories, just talking to interesting people, trying to create something of value by doing that. I'm writing a book, which, you know, that's kind of like a passion project. I don't know if it'll actually turn into something somebody wants to read, but it's fun to do. You know, I do my coaching stuff. I work with First Forum some. You know, as far as next steps, I don't know. I'm just going to keep doing the stuff that makes me happy and doing the things that allow me to help people. Because I'm kind of at that phase of my life where that's what's, you know, more important to me. You know, I love dad, spending time with my daughter. Yeah, we'll see, man. I feel like that's by awesome. Doing that, I'll end up where I should be. As like woo woo as that sounds. Yeah,
that's a good place to be, though, man. I mean, that's a really strong, great place to be, honestly, especially at your age, man. So that's awesome. You know, I mean, you're doing what you love, right? I mean, shit. Exactly. You're paying your bills. You got food on the table. You're living okay. I mean, what else do you want? You know, that's great, man. Hell yeah.
But yeah, and so I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I've got a few other ideas and business endeavors and things like that. Like, I can never truly get away from that, you know, as like, I think if you're an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur. Like that's not something you can just turn off, especially, you know, at such a young age. So we'll see. I got a few different things that I'm interested in, but
I definitely think, with who you are and being such a real representation of like, you are who you are online, you're so real. And recently, I know that you've obviously over the last year and a half, I mean, I don't know exactly how much, but I know you're building a real, genuine following. And because you're such a real motherfucker, and like I can sense it even just over the stupid fucking Zoom, but just from the shit I follow you on, you know, you'll be able to build something successful online based on the real following you're building. You know what I mean? So you're in a good place right now, and you're just being genuinely, unapologetically you, which is amazing to be, right? And you're building a very loyal following. So whatever you want to do, you know, we'll support you. They'll support you, right? So then kind of like you can really kind of figure out what you want to do, how you want to transition it. Obviously, I would say something online because that's obviously that's just the next thing. But yeah, I'm definitely, I think you have a lot of opportunity there. And just because, like I said, you're so much different than the norm, which is a compliment. You know what I mean? So it's just, I know you have a loyal following because that's the type of following you build when you are the way you are, when you speak your mind, people that are similar to you follow you type of thing, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's how I find guys like you, you know, like-minded people who are just real and you know, tell it like it is. Yeah. And I just respect and appreciate that. And a lot of what I'm going to continue to do is try to elevate voices of people like that, you know, because I think that young people need an example. You know, they need people to look to who are going against the grain as far as this soft, watered down, fucking, you know, I hate to use the term, but pussified, you know, whatever that they're trying to turn us into. And again, I hate sounding conspiratorial and all this stuff, but like, you know, I get messages every day. I get messages from young men and I get messages from women who are saying, where are all the men? Right? Like, they're like, where are they? They're like, I've heard your podcast. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you're talking about. But where the hell are the real men? And so anything I can do to talk to guys like you, I mean, you're a devoted husband, father, business owner. I mean, you're unapologetically yourself. You found a niche for yourself in life where you've created happiness for yourself. You created it for yourself. You know, you didn't expect anybody to give it to you, right? And that's the voices I want to elevate. And if I can continue to do that and make a living for myself in doing so, that to me is a win-win. So I'm happy
Hell
to
yeah.
doing that, brother.
That's an awesome place to be, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else you want to know? You got any more questions for me?
Oh man.
One thing I do want to say, I'll put this out there, is with as far as my relationship with my wife, 17 years, it's fucking work, man. And the thing is just like anything else, like a business is going to be work. Like everything I talk about as far as fitness, business, relationships, I say all that kind of shit has so much more similarities. Like everything we talk about in business, you apply to fitness. Everything in fitness, you apply it to business. Everything in all that, you apply it to relationships. It all goes hand in hand, man. And this society and day and age we live with, Instagram and all these fat asses and shit. Like, yeah, trust me, I'm a fucking alpha. I'm a horny motherfucker. I feel like I'm a lion in a fucking cage. Like, I'm gonna be real. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so for me, it's work even to fight this primal urge. Like, you know what I mean? It's work to work on the relationship. It's work to balance all this, but it's worth it. Like, it's worth it. It's going to be work with anybody. And that's what these guys don't realize is you have a little bit of problems with whoever you have a relationship with. And it's hard, or it's like been a few years in and the excitement's gone, the ass isn't fresh anymore. You're used to it. And it's like, you see all this shit online and it's in your face more than ever. And it's easier than ever to access, right? And you always think the grass is green on the other side. But the thing I'm here to tell you is you leave something and you get with something new. And then a couple years later, you're going to be in the same boat, regardless of what it is. So you got to just really find someone that has similar values as you, has similar goals as you, someone that you can build with and really is a good person or ride with you. Because she's been with me through, like I said, the beginning, like most of our life, we had nothing together. She still rode with me, right? And really find someone based on, regardless of everything that's on the outside there, and you just work on it. Like I said, there's plenty of work. We've had plenty of issues over the years where shit's almost gone south, but we've worked on it. We both were willing to work. We both were willing to communicate. And it's been one of the hardest things ever, even harder than the business shit I've dealt with, because 17 years is longer than 8 years. But I'm saying it's work. It's going to be work. Your relationship's going to be work. Don't fucking think that you're going to have this little dream shit like you see in the movies where it's just like perfect. You never fight and everything's perfect and nothing's ever worked. That's fucking bullshit. Like, relationships are going to be work and you're going to be work at it as long as you're in it. And that's just the reality of it. And running away from it and going to that next fresh piece of ass, it may be good for like 6 months, a year, but then when you're, 2, 3, 4 years in, you're going to be right in the same boat you were at before when you left to get there, man. So like I said, it's just, I want to just get that out there because I know with the young guys and people nowadays, they just want to go to the next thing. And it's not the answer, like my company gets hard. I'm not going to quit it and go start another company, so same kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I think people look at relationships through those same goggles that they look at your business. So they see what you have like right now. So they'll look at relationships and say, they'll see this idealized version of a relationship, but what they don't realize is all that hard work that has to go in on the back end, right? Like same thing with a business. They see Andy pulling up to a private jet in a Lambo, or see Ed at his house in Malibu, or see what you've created in your cars and stuff. And they're like, that's business. And it's like, no, motherfucker, that's not business.
Yeah.
That's not business. All the decade leading up to it, that was business. And same thing with relationships, man. Like you see the couple all dressed nice, looking all hot. You see Grant Cardone and his wife, pulling up, getting out of their car, looking all perfect. It's like, there's a lot that went into that, man. And it took a lot of work. And I think that
100%.
thing, dude, we're like an Instagram society. Everybody looks at every pretty pictures and they don't see that really it wasn't Instagram, man. It was a fucking YouTube documentary that it took to get there. So I
100%.
think that's a great point, man. And I appreciate
100%. You. Yeah. 100%. Like I said, because I live it. Like I said, I live it. It's like I said, it's one of the hardest things I've ever done, but it's still the most rewarding, and just keeping that family together and raising my kids and all that kind of stuff. I mean, even being there as a dad, like with as busy as I'm with the business, that's one of my hardest things I still deal with. I'm better now than ever, but for how driven I am and how little time I feel like where I want to get to, like it's hard to balance that time with family, pulling myself away from work, being present when I'm there. It's something I still struggle with, and I've gotten better, but man, it's work. It's all fucking work, man.
Dude, anything that's worth it is fucking work, right? That's what people need to understand. What you got to do is figure out how to make the work something that you enjoy, something, or not even enjoy, but appreciate, can tolerate, can
100%.
look forward to. But I don't know, man. These kids just got to learn. They just got to learn.
Well, I promise you most of them won't. So that's good news for us. That's good news for our kids. But
Exactly.
But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. As far as other questions I have, man, I've got a lot of personal questions about like the apparel industry. Maybe one day I'll pick your brain about it.
For sure. Yeah.
Time. But, outside of that, brother, I really want to get your take on, and we can wrap it up on this. We've been going for like an hour and a half, I think.
Have we really? Fuck.
Dude, time flies. I'm telling you. Okay. As far as the current state of things with young men, and I keep bringing it back to that because, that's something that truly I am passionate about. And I ask all my guests this when I wrap. And if you could go back in time to yourself at age 18 to 22, young man, or if you could give advice to young men of that age range today, what would one piece of advice be that you would give young men? Could be anything.
I mean, it's kind of honestly what we've already talked about is just be true to who you are and be true to what your values are. Like we talked about, is speaking your mind and being true to who you are unapologetically, being true to who you are. And then I know it's cliche. I mean, I'm like I said, probably the same thing everyone says, but like nothing replaces the work. Like if you want something, you have to fucking earn it. Bottom line, if you want something, whatever it is, you have to earn it. You can't count on anybody but yourself. You are going to get yourself to where you want to be, whatever it is, goal-wise, regardless. It's on you and nobody else. Don't ever expect it to be on anybody else. If you want something, you got to go get it, and you got to take responsibility if you do get there or if you don't get there. And there's no one else to blame but yourself if you do or don't,
Yeah. Spot on, man. Perfect.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add? Anything you want to ask me?
No, man. No, I mean, eventually I'd like to fucking meet your ass and give you a big ass bear hug, but I don't know when that's going to be. So I'm sure we'll figure it out, man. We'll figure it out. Cause like I said, a lot of our circle connects and there's a lot of events and shit hopefully going to start going on. So I don't know if you go to that kind of stuff or whatnot, but eventually we'll hopefully link up, man. And like I said, I'm always here for you. Like I said, with the apparel stuff or whatever you need. I realize I don't think you have my number, so I'll send it to you in the DM. So you just have my cell phone number. We can communicate whenever you want, man.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? Where should they go if they want to get in touch with you about coaching?
I would say just the best place is my personal page, which is just at my first and last name, Brian Nabavi. And it's all linked together. That'd be the best place to find me, and just hit me up in the DM and I'm down to talk. I respond to everybody. I respond to everything. So yeah, I like commenting and talking and responding to all that kind of shit. I'm going to take a little picture here of us. I want to see you.
Go for it.
I want to see you.
I got to go get a pump first though, real quick. Hold on. Oh shit.
Let me see that. I'm gonna post it to my story.
Damn, fast an hour and a half goes by.
I can't believe it's been that long. Honestly, I've never done one that long, to tell you the truth. I'm more because my days are today I didn't have anything, but usually my days are so like meeting, boom, boom, boom. So like I'm glad I had some time, but I didn't realize it'd been that long. Holy shit.
Dude, I just want to say also, while we're still recording. I love your energy, man. You're like,
I appreciate it.
you just go, dude. I love it.
I appreciate it, man.
I'm like, I'm just gonna let this guy.
Let me see one. Come on.
Oh,
Let me see that arm. Let me see the other one. The fucking mic. Is that your good arm? Okay, no, you could do your good arm side, even though the mic's blocking.
Bicep. So this is the good one.
Okay, let's do that one.
They're both.
Let me see it, baby. Let me see it. Boom, baby. Yeah. That's good. I'm gonna tag you on it. I really appreciate you, man. Like I said, huh?
I got back and buys right after this, actually.
Nice. I appreciate you, man. Seriously, I really appreciate you. You're my type of people. You're good at people. And like I said, anything you need from me, I'm here. So I'll send you my number and you let me know, man.
I appreciate it, brother. Likewise.
Okay.
Yeah. I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy. So
of course.
Ryan Nabavi, everybody.
Appreciate it, brother.
Right.
Take care.